You are listening to Your Physique Radio in association with irishmuscle.ie. We are broadcasting worldwide via iTunes, YouTube and Facebook, bringing you the latest in bodybuilding, fitness and nutrition. Your Physique Radio. It's your physique. It's your choice.
Alright everybody, welcome along to Your Physique Radio. My name is Colin Kennedy. It is August 26, 2012 and this is episode number 14. Joining me on the line as always is Craig Clifford. And Craig, I would have to say happy birthday, otherwise I wouldn't be a good co-host or friend.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, man. Yeah, 32 years old today. Oh my God, I'm getting old. Why getting old? The grey hairs and the beard are starting to appear and everything. It's all downhill from here anyway, I think.
Well, I've already got the grey hairs and you've got a couple of years on me, so it doesn't look good for me in the next couple of years. But congratulations on reaching the ripe age of 32, and I hope you're going to do something better with your day than to sit in front of the computer and record this show with me. But we'll get rolling on with the show. This past weekend we had the IFBB Muscle Heat 212. We didn't cover it last week because we didn't have a list of competitors and we weren't fully aware of the lineup or the way it was going to look, so we said we'd wait until this week and have something good to talk about. And the results are in. However, there are no pictures attached with the results, so we can only give you the results themselves. But even with that, there are some surprises as we look along the line. It was held in North Carolina, in Greensboro, North Carolina, and the winners, in order, let's go top 5. 5, Oliver Adeski. 4, Paul Casero. 3, Guy Cisternino. 2, Tricky Jackson. And in first place, taking home the first win of his career, is Curtis Bryant. Craig, Curtis Bryant hasn't been on the scene in just over 2.5 years, I believe. In his last outing, he took 7th at the 2009 event, at 202 at the time. He comes in here, takes first place, 212 class, beating out Tricky Jackson, who we have to say is one of the top guys at the 212 class. He wasn't on the radar for anyone, I don't believe. He comes in, he takes first place, and he is now qualified for the IFBB Mr. Olympia Showdown 212, coming on the 27th, 28th and 29th of September in Las Vegas, Nevada. Craig, this guy Curtis, have you heard of him before, or is he kind of new to you as well?
Well, he wasn't on the radar until an hour ago. But I have heard of him, and there was an article in MD I read about him. This is about 4 years back, and he was supposed to be up and coming or whatever. So whatever happened, I don't know, did he have a family or did he just take a break from bodybuilding or whatever? But he kind of kept out of the limelight for some reason. But it obviously worked. He came back, and like you say, Colin, he was on no one's radar at all. He came in and he beat obviously a very good Tricky Jackson, because Tricky Jackson at 90% is still a fantastic bodybuilder. So this guy, again, kind of like what we went on about last week, this 212 class at the Olympia is going to be unbelievable. It's going to be so big, so hard to choose from. Because if this Curtis Bryant guy can beat Tricky Jackson, you could nearly guarantee if he's good enough, he can be there for top 5, mixing it up with the best of them in the Orleans Arena on the 29th of September. So I don't know, this 212 for me is getting very, very exciting, even more than the open class for me anyway.
Yeah, the 212 is going to be held at the expo itself on, I think it's at 10:30 on the Saturday morning, so I will be in attendance for the 212 finals. I'm going to hope that it's as good as we believe it's going to be, and I'm definitely looking forward to it at this stage. Just to give people an idea of Curtis's background, let's say in 2008 he turned pro by winning the light heavyweight at the NPC USA's. He then went on to do the 202 showdown at the 2008 Mr. Olympia, and since then his best showing has been a 7th place in his last 2 shows, one of which was in 2009 at the 202 Europa Super Show. And then that same year he took 7th again at the Atlantic City Pro, again in the 202 class. So he's made a huge jump in the last 2.5 years. He takes his first win of his career. He gets his qualifying spot, and like we said, if he can beat Tricky Jackson, you got to be looking at him for top 5, top 6 this time around, presuming that he does continue and in 5 weeks time shows up for the Olympia. But definitely want to watch. Again, we haven't got the actual pictures of this show, so we can't give you an idea of how he looked on the day. But looking at his previous ones, he definitely had a good physique. His conditioning seemed to be a little bit off on previous shows, if the photographs are anything to go by. But look, he takes his first win. He's through, he's qualified. And just to give you an idea how close things possibly were last night at the Muscle Heat competition. If I'm looking at the scorecard, I can see after the pre-judging, Tricky Jackson was in first place by 1 point, but then come the night show, Curtis Bryan takes all firsts across the board. All 5 judges give him first place at the night show, and that's what puts him in front, and he comes home with the win. So Curtis, congratulations. Tricky, you're still qualified for the 212, so I would presume that he will absolutely show up no matter what. And then Guy Sisterlin on third place, which is kind of a common occurrence for him. He has won one show this year, I believe, but he's thereabouts, but he's definitely not a top 5, top 6 guy this year. But I think Guy in the next couple of years will do quite well.
Yeah, probably agree actually. Yeah, definitely.
But that was the IFBB Muscle Heat, and it was in Greensboro, North Carolina yesterday. So I'll finish up just last night here as we talk. Moving on, Craig, we're going to look forward 2 weeks from now. We've got the final 2 opportunities for competitors to qualify for the Mr. Olympia Open and Mr. Olympia 212, one of which is going to be in Finland. And again, the names have not really changed for that in terms of who is in. To give people an idea, just again from the repeat from last week, Ronnie Rockel, Ruli Winkler, Tony Freeman, Todd Jewell, Keith Williams, Balto Avaspor, Robert Pirowitz, Thomas Bengali, Dan Hill, Timo Hanakala, Van Tenen Jabs, Ahmed Parsa, Ari Kakonen, Mirza Tereso, Fauzi Hanst, Khalid Almohausiwao, and Clarence Davis. Again, my pronunciation as always is spot on. That's the Finland. Now there's only 2 categories at the Finland show. We've got men's open and we've got figure. Now in the figure category, again, like I said last week, it's mostly international. A lot of Slovakians, Norwegians, Germans, Finnish. It's going to be interesting to see who comes out of this and qualifies for the Olympia. You never know, there might be a bright rising star coming from this Finland show. Outside of that then, in terms of the 212 class, we've got the Valenti Gold Cup, which is in Florida on the 8th of September. There is no competitor list for that just yet, but when it comes in as of next week, we'll have a full rundown on that show. The prize money in total, Craig, for the Valenti Gold Cup is only $6,000.
In total?
Yes.
We can't really imagine that be too good of a lineup there.
Alright, so as far as I see, the winner's going to get $3,000, second place will get $2,000, third place will get $1,000. But to be fair, that's pretty much the standard for the 212 class. The winner normally only gets about $3,000. So
yeah, I suppose, yeah, that's true.
It's not good. But if we want to look at money in terms of the overall placings and the overall competition in money, you know, typically the Arnold Classic is up there with $344,000 prize money given out to men's bodybuilding alone. Looking down in, most of the shows are $20,000, $28,000, $40,000, thereabouts. The Olympia, $650,000 will be delivered out to the men's bodybuilding. And the second biggest show of the year, or sorry, the third biggest show of the year, in which we haven't seen yet, this will be the first time round, is going to be the EVL Prague Pro Championships in Prague, Czech Republic, October 26th and 27th, $135,000 being given out in prize money. So outside of the Arnold and the Mr. Olympia, that is it in terms of men's open bodybuilding. Now,
what about Shrew?
Shrew, let me have a quick look at the Shrew. 150,000 actually. So Shrew, yeah, you're right. Shrew will come in third place there. $150,000. That's a lot of money to hang on to and put into your bank account. So I'm sure there'll be many a name dropping their hat into that ring come October 5th and 6th in Mumbai in India. The Masters Olympia as well, which is now in Miami, Florida. It was not going to be. It was going to be in the Czech Republic, I think. It's now going to be in Miami on the 7th and 8th of December. Masters and up is 40 and over, and there's quite a few IFBB pros still on the circuit who do qualify for that. And one of them is our good friend Masoom Butt. He has told us last week that he will be doing the IFBB Masters Olympia come December 7th and 8th. And along with that, he will also be doing the Shrew Classic, the British Grand Prix, and I believe he's also going to do the Prague Pro. So Masoom is a busy calendar coming up over the next 5 to 8 weeks, and I think he's going to take home some nice prize money for himself. Craig, did you see the picture that was posted up to our Facebook page recently of Masoom doing a back double bicep at 5 weeks out?
Oh my god, how incredible did he look? Oh my god, this guy is going to just... I'm telling you guys, you've seen him and you heard him here first, but this guy is going to go on to some big things. I promise everybody that. That picture 5 weeks out, all he needed to put on was trans 10 and he was good to go.
Yeah, yeah.
He was good to go. Like 5 weeks out. Oh my God.
Yeah, there's also.
What's he going to look like on the day of the show if he gets it right? And with Chris and Ian behind him, it'll be very hard for him to fail. Like.
And the thing is, with his with that picture that was posted up, let's say he said, and I quote, "playing around with some carbs." So, you know, and the carbs are pancakes and honey and all this type of stuff. So if he's still playing around with carbohydrates and he's looking as good as that, you know, wait till they get it down perfect and correct come the IFBB, or sorry, the Shrew Classic will be first up, then the British Grand Prix. So, you know, definitely looking forward to the 212 and the Open Class, the Shrew Classic. And as Masoom said back on episode 4 or 5 with us here 7 or 8 weeks ago, you know, the Indian show, it's pretty much a home show for him, considering Pakistan is a neighbouring country. So hopefully he'll have a lot of good support in the crowd, because he's definitely going to put on a good show, and he's going to bring in some big numbers, I believe, also.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, it's good that he's going to Miami as well, because and this is Masoom's words as well, that he's going to get his name out there in America.
Yeah.
He's been to Toronto and he's done it there, and he got second place, which we think was undeserved. He should have came in and got the gold medal there, but that's a different story altogether. But it is good for him to do as many shows as possible in America. I think anyway, it's good for him.
Yeah, I think the more often he shows up in the American scene, the more people recognise him, the more he'll get those extra cheers in the crowd. And as much as, you know, we always said it shouldn't make a difference if the judges know them or do not know them, but typically you're looked at a little bit more nicely or a little bit more often, let's say, if you are known. And you know, you can't look past his physique. Once he gets a look in, once he gets a comparison, you're going to have to say, okay, this guy needs to stay in this top group, and we need to swing him around, put him in the centre, put him on the outside. He's going to do really well. In terms of height and muscle size, he's a little bit smaller in muscle size, according to the scale at least, than the likes of Flex Lewis and Jose Raymond, but he's one big 188 pounder on stage. And you know, looking at the pictures, maybe I'm wrong, but I think he's going to come in a couple of pounds a little bit heavier than last time out, whether that's because of a different carb up or a better carb up or whatever the case may be. I think that Masoom is going to do extremely well at the Shrew Classic, and he's going to follow that then at the British Grand Prix, and you know, he's going to give people a run for the money, definitely.
Yeah, and we should all get behind him. You know, he came on our show, was really nice to everybody, to you, to me, to the listeners. He was very good. Gave us all fantastic answers to all our questions. You know, he's living in Derry now, so he's got the Irish connection to the show. We should all get behind him, and then when he gets to America, let's support him when he gets there too. So, like his page, guys. You know, stay tuned to us to get the most out of Masoom's Bud interviews and everything that goes with him. So we're 100% behind him. We want everyone else to follow him too.
Yeah, we were in touch with Masoom just this past week trying to organise an interview, and he is on board for just after the Shrew Classic and just before the IFBB British Grand Prix. So somewhere right there in the middle, we're going to have Masoom on, and he's going to give us an idea of how the Shrew went. I'm going to say and go out on a limb here and say he's coming home with his first place trophy. So make sure there's plenty of room in your overhead compartment there, Masoom, when you're coming back, because the trophy's going to be nice and heavy. And just prior to the British Grand Prix, so it'll be nice to listen in and see how he's doing in terms of carving up and his preparation, how his diet went over the last 5-6 weeks from here on in. And again, if you're not already a friend or you don't already like his page and you want to find him, Masoom Butt, MASOOMBUTT on Facebook, or you'll find him through our own friends on the Your Physique Radio page on Facebook. So definitely, Masoom, if you're listening, pal, best of luck in the next couple of weeks. We definitely think you're going to do extremely well in the next coming few shows, and then stir it up a little bit more once you get back over here to the States and enter into the IFBB Masters on December 6th and 7th in Miami, Florida. So that will be our competition coverage for right now. We will move on then, guys, to our topic of the week, and this segment is brought to you by irishmuscle.ie, Ireland's #1 bodybuilding destination. Be sure to check out their new forum, which is located at forum.irishmuscle.ie. Our topic of the week this week is preparing for your first bodybuilding show. Now, many of our listeners will already have competed. Many of our listeners will have made mistakes on their first show, second show, whatever shows. Maybe every show there's some mistakes here and there, but hopefully you learn from them. Otherwise, it was a disaster to have them in the first place. So if you can learn from your mistakes, take something from it and move on, that's exactly what you need to be doing. Hopefully this little bit of an insight, as Craig and myself have both competed, and we have many people in our circle who also compete as well, so we're very aware of what does go on and what you need to be doing to make sure that you're on stage looking the best that you can. And for this instance, we're going to imagine that you've attended a bodybuilding show yesterday, and let's say it was your nationals, so let's say it was the RIBBF or the NABA or NPC, it was a national level show or a local show, whatever case it was, and you're thinking to yourself, you know, I've been training for many years, I think I can do well at this sport, I think I'm going to compete. Alright, you've got 1 year from now until the next show that you just visited, so 1 year anniversary, you will be on stage being critiqued by the judges and the audience alike. Can you step up to the stage? Can you do what you have to do to be in shape and be ready 1 year from now? Craig, what are the first few things you would say to somebody who is looking to compete in 1 year from now?
Well, I mean, this might sound really, really basic, but try and get the dates, all that kind of stuff down for when it's on. If you need, we'll just say, you know, I'm for my own show, well, it was an RBBF show, so become a member of the RBBF, have all your paperwork, all that stuff done. This is a year out, you're thinking, Jesus, it's a year away, take it easy, but it's one less thing to worry about. It really is. I mean, you don't want to arrive on the day because of one little slip up and you're not registered after doing all that hard work. So it's a little thing, but it's happened, guys, to people. So that's one thing I would say. Another thing is try and get in, you know, because you're not dieting out for probably another 9 months. So make sure that 9 months and have yourself a goal. So 9 months, where do I need to be? Lean body weight wise, not just weight wise, because you couldn't go onto the scale and say, right, I want to be 105 kgs. No, any of us can get there if we're going to be a fatty. That's not what we want. So make sure your lean body mass is going up all the time. Once that's going up, you're happy. No, there's no point in putting on weight if you get rid of it again. So believe me, with my own show, I kind of went a bit too fat. I went up to 95 kgs, which was too heavy for me at the time. And I was up around 17% body fat. And it took me, being honest, you know, I got my timing almost perfectly, or almost perfect on the day, which was great. But it took me about 17 weeks of dieting, like, and it's not good. 17 weeks, and I said to myself, I'd never do that again for my next show. I never want to be more than about 12 weeks out. 17 was a nightmare. Like, I started on, I think it was the 2nd of January or 3rd of January or something, and I went all the way up to the 28th of April. It was long. It was really, really long. But yeah. So what I would say is pick where you need to be lean body mass wise and body fat wise, so you don't have too much work to do. So write everything down where you need to be. 8 months out, 6 months out, 4 months out, 3 months out, 2 months out, etc. where you need to be, and every time you're at a stage, to take all your measurements, ideally get the same person to measure you all the time, because body fat measurements can change from person to person depending on who's doing the actual measuring, especially if you use the calipers. And I mean, like, body fat measurements as well are great, but you know, how you look and how you feel as well will probably say more. You know, you can't argue with that. I mean, yeah, I mean, I was about 6% body fat, and there was still a bit left in me as far as fat goes, and it was about 6%, and I was kind of going, yeah, I have a bit more to go, and people were saying, geez, 6%, but you know what, percentage wise it means nothing. What do you reckon actually, Colin, about percentage wise? It's great to be 4%, but if I was 6% and ready, I'd prefer that to be 4% and too flat. Does that make sense? Yeah,
you see, that's the thing, if your body fat percentage is down, let's say you're at 4%, but you're holding a shitload of water, you're not going to look like you're at 4% body fat. So
yeah,
definitely you want to make sure that you that you erase any subcutaneous water. So any water that you're holding underneath your skin, you want to make sure that's gone. Now there's different ways you can go about that, and that's something you're going to have to research for yourself. But definitely you don't want to stand on stage at a really low body fat and just be holding water and make it look like you didn't work hard enough. So yeah, like Craig said, I would prefer you to be at higher body fat and without water than to be at low body fat holding water. Now, yeah, that's something you need to learn to do and learn how to achieve correctly. And from time to time, from week to week, from year to year, competition to competition. It will change how your body responds to the processes or the way you go about doing that. But definitely the percentage, I mean, as much as percentage body fat is what it is, some people look different at 4% than other guys. So if you're saying to yourself, I want to be 6% on the day, or I want to be 4% on the day, unless you've been 4% in the past, you don't know what 4% looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, people hold it differently. People hold more body fat through their legs, some hold it through their glutes, some have it in their lower back. You know, you really need to, the first one, if you're going into your first show expecting to win, excellent. I hope you are kind of gearing towards that, but you shouldn't be disappointed if you don't, because the chances of you getting everything absolutely spot on, unless the rest of the competition isn't that great, you know, it's very, very, very unlikely. Even if you have got somebody who's really, really experienced in your corner in terms of a contest prep guy or a diet and nutrition guy, regardless, it's still a learning curve that very first show. I would just like to see somebody come in as lean as they can, and that means that with all of the effort that they can put in, and by eating clean and not having any mistakes over the time, and going in and being happy that, yeah, I did everything I could do this time around, I will learn my body from this one and use it to jumpstart the next one. But again, going back to the initial comment, 5 or 6% body fat on one person is different than another, so I wouldn't be so concerned about the actual numbers, but more how you look.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Another thing as well is what I would do about 6 months out, and again, you're probably thinking, I'm overthinking it, but what I would do, or what I didn't do last time, was pose until about maybe 2 or 3 months out and practice posing. Practice posing now, get it done so it's so second nature to you, you don't even have to worry about it. Believe me, if you think about, oh, what's the next part of this, my routine, am I holding this pose right, and get someone who knows how to pose. Go on to Skype. If you want to contact me, Colin, you can get in contact with us and send us some pictures, and we can show you how to pose or how not to pose, you know, because, I mean, we do things wrong as well, but we know exactly kind of what we're looking for nowadays. So, you know, it might be just a case of you're doing a side chest and your back elbow is leaning out too much, so there's like a gap. You know, your back elbow should always be closer, and the closer you're probably pushing up your chest with your bicep, hence making your chest look bigger and making you look overall wider and your waist smaller. It's little things like that. It's flexing the quad. You know what I mean? When you're doing the most muscular, little things, guys. You know what I mean? Make sure you practice with that, and plus constantly posing the muscles. You get that kind of muscle connection as well, so it's easier to pose. It's easier to train that actual body part because you can feel it, and you can feel it getting tighter, you can feel it loosening. It's there's no downside to it. And pick your music early, and don't change, especially getting closer to the show. When you're happy with it, stay with it. You know, at the end of the day, it's not about music, it's about your posing. A very good thing for the posing is I would pick a posing routine first and pick music that will suit. Don't do the opposite way, so don't pick your favorite song or whatever and then try and pose to it, because the tempo of your song, it could be too slow or it could be too fast, and you're trying to, and it's something I see all the time, a guy doing the most muscular and then he's doing a side chest and then he's doing a side tricep, all in the space of about 3 seconds. The judges can only judge what they see in front of them. If you're doing a side tricep and you're not holding it for a couple of seconds, they can't see it. If you boom, you hit it, and then boom, another pose, and boom, another pose, you're not giving the people enough chance to look at it. And remember, the judges, it's not 1 or 2, there's probably 9 or 10 judges in front of you. So if you're doing a side chest, slightly swivel your hip to the left and to the right, so everyone gets to see it, all the judges. That's important. What do you reckon of that, Colin?
Yeah, when it comes to the posing, it's you're saying there, practice. If you look at an IFBB pro who's out there at the moment, who's one of the best posers on stage, and his name is obviously going to be Kai Green. He, in a documentary I recently watched with him, he still goes every Saturday morning and practices posing. This guy has been a pro for 10 years, and he's been competing for probably 20 years, and he still practices his posing every week. You know, it's not just something he figures out, I'm going to go on stage, I'm going to do this and that and that. you know, the smallest little thing in terms of the rotation of elbows going forwards, a twist of the wrist, you know, putting your foot down or pressing through your heel, depending on what part of your leg you're trying to flex the most. And you know, not everybody will need to pose the same way. You need to pose to show off your physique the best. And Craig said something very valid there. If you're going through 4 or 5 shots as quick as you can, whether you're trying to hide flaws, that's one thing, but if you're trying to show off your physique, you want to make sure that you're sitting there for long enough that everybody can see it and everybody can appreciate what you have on offer. Now, if we're talking about the IFBB pros, the posing routine isn't scored, but at the same time you're still on display, and the judges will still take that into consideration when they look at your physique. They're like, yeah, I didn't notice in the last round that his quads were feathered or there's tricep striations through it, so the next time I'm going to pay more attention. Come the next round when it is being scored, yeah, I can still see that, I'm going to give them a mark for it. So, you know, it's whether or not you feel like the posing routine is marked or not marked. It might not be actually scored as in you got 5 points for your posing routine, but you're still displaying your physique to the judges who are going to judge you later on that day anyway. So you want to make sure that you're definitely putting your best foot forward and that you're in all of the right positions for the right length of time, and that you're showing off your physique to the best of your abilities. To go back to the start there, what I would say is, in terms of, let's say you've decided you're a year out from a show, you've picked your federation, pick the class that you think you're going to be ready for. Because if you're going to go on weight classes, which some of the federations are, and you're thinking, yeah, I'm going to be in the 80 kilos and above class, if you're sitting at 81 kilos, you're going to be standing next to guys who are 89.9 kilos. So maybe it might be in your best interest to suck down an extra 1 or 2 kilos or 3 or 4 pounds and get into the 70 and up class. You know, it's you're better off to be the bigger guy on stage than to be the smallest guy on stage, as long as your conditioning is of equal balance, of course. But once you've got that done, you know, make sure you register, like Craig said. Start planning it out. You want to be here, you want to be there, you want to be this place at certain times of the year. But no matter what, you do not want to start your diet late. When it comes to 15 weeks, 16 weeks, have a look at yourself. If you got more than 20 pounds to lose and it's your first time to try and do so, I'd be starting my diet at 16 weeks out. Again, it depends on how big you are, of course, but if you've never tried to lose weight in the past on a consistent basis, not just for 2 or 3 weeks, you want to give yourself more time than less time. If anything, you decide you're getting a little bit ahead of the game, you can slow down the diet, but you can't speed up a diet. You're going to kill yourself. You're going to lose muscle if you try and over diet or diet too quickly. So my thing for somebody, if you're competing in your first show, if your abs are not showing through already and you're at 16 weeks out, you want to start dieting, as far as I'm concerned. Now everyone is different, they will respond differently, but again, you're better off to be ahead of the game and to slow down than to be behind the game and try and have to speed up. But then posing all comes into it. You know, you've got your supplements, you're doing whatever you're doing. Make sure that your training stays consistent, that you're not missing meals for the sake of going to the movies, or you're doing this and that. Your life should not revolve around bodybuilding, but if you want to be the best that you can be, you need to make sure you're planning your food around your life, as opposed to the other way around, which some people do. And look, if you want to do that, that's fine, but you don't want to seclude people from your life. You don't want to shut people out for that last 16, 17 weeks or whatever it is. You don't want people to hate that you compete in bodybuilding shows, because relationships can become frayed at times like that. And you know, as much as you might love bodybuilding, you don't want to lose people in your life that you love as well over something where it shouldn't happen. But you know, you're going to have to get all your bits and pieces together. You are going to have to tan, guys. You're going to have to put on your Pro Tan or your Dream Tan, whatever it is. I believe Dream Tan is officially banned on the RIBBF circuit because of the mess that it leaves behind. That's because of the contest, the venues, not so much the promoters, because the promoters get in trouble for having so much crap on the walls. If you're ever at a bodybuilding show where guys using Dream Tan, it's like they're leaving a trail in the sand. It's all over the place. But it's easy to apply. It goes on easy. It looks good. To be honest, I much prefer the Pro Tan look with some oil added after than the Dream Tan, because I think Dream Tan is a little bit too glossy looking. But again, if everyone's on stage with Dream Tan, you don't want to be the odd one out, because you're going to look different than everyone else. And sometimes that might be a good thing, but some judges prefer a darker look or a shinier look and all this. They need to standardize it. They need to make sure everybody must be wearing this everybody must be wearing that, so there's no advantage over someone else in terms of the colour or the tanning product that you're using. Guys and girls, of course, you need to do this. Craig, actually, just speaking of tan there for a moment, they're bringing in a bikini class in the RIBBF, isn't that correct?
That's right, yeah.
And if you look at the rules, it says a nice natural tan, no additional tanning products to be used. Now, what's a natural tan?
There's no such thing as natural tan when you're in Ireland.
Exactly.
It's natural white.
You know, and if you're standing on stage without a tan or added tanner or whatever you're going to use, and you've got those stage lights coming down on top of you, you're going to look like Casper. I mean, you're going to disappear. No matter how good your physique looks in the dark, dull lighting of a gym, it's not going to look good on stage. So I think the RIBBF need to take a step back here and consider that there will be under stage lights. That the majority of Irish people are as white as a piece of A4 paper, and you need to display your physique.
I can say fake tan is okay, but not, or like sunbed tan is okay, but not stuff you rub on your skin. Maybe is what they're trying to aim at.
Well, if they're saying that, man, they're going completely against what the IFBB do, which are the affiliating people of the RIBBF. Because if you come over here to a show, or you go to a show, every single person on stage is being spray tanned backstage with Pro Tan or Jan Tan or whatever the products are, or if they're in their local amateur shows, they might be using Pro Tan or Dream Tan, whatever. But definitely everyone, male, female, physique, bodybuilding, bikini, everything, they're all using fake tanners, and they have to. It's makeup for the body. It's just like in the movies, you wear makeup because the lights are so strong. You're going to wear makeup on your body here, which is your fake tan. And even if you're a black guy, the black guys will still put on Pro Tan and Dream Tan, whatever else, because it does change the appearance. It creates a deeper look. It shows better separation. It reflects better underneath the light. I think the RIBBF need to withdraw that rule in the bikini category, which is coming up. Is it in 6 weeks, the RIBBF?
Yeah, 6 or 7, yeah.
So, you know, they need to either withdraw it from the rules or not put it into play on come game day, because no Irish girl that I've ever seen has a natural tan. Definitely not dark enough to be on stage with anyway, that's for sure.
That's for sure.
But anyway, going back to the bodybuilding, you know, you want to make sure you have your tan. You probably do a dry run or a practice run applying the tan, because it's, you know, it's a process. Depending on which one you use as well, it will take longer. It might take a couple of days to do all the different layers you need to do. Or if on the day you're going to show up on your own, who's going to put the tan on your back? You know, you got to have somebody there to help you out, because you're not going to be guaranteed that another competitor is going to help you. They've got their own shit to be dealing with. They don't need to be coming over, oiling you up and rubbing you down. You know, get somebody else that you know and you trust to do that for you. And like I said, if you do a trial run on part of your body at least and see how it goes, or even try some Pro Tan, see how that goes on one side, try some Dream Tan on the other, and if you look better under one or the other, you know which one to use. Little things like that. You have to get your posing trunks. If you haven't got posing trunks, don't go to Lifestyle Sports or Dick's or wherever you're going to buy it. You're not buying Speedos, guys. Get yourself some posing trunks. The cut is different, it's on purpose. It shows off more of the legs. If you've got better separation or better detail through your glutes, if you've got striated glutes, if you're lucky enough, you know, your Speedos are going to cover them up, and you don't want to be hiking them up into a thong. It's not a bikini photo shoot or anything that you're doing. So, you know, you want to have the proper posing trunks on, so you don't have to try and adjust them here and there. Craig, I know when you competed, you ordered your posing trunks online somewhere, right?
Yeah, I actually ordered them from a crowd in, I think they're based in Ohio, and I had them in 4 days. But I had them about, I'd say, 3 months before the show.
Yeah.
There's no point in waiting. Just get it done, get it out of the way. Like I said earlier on, it's one less thing to be worried about. Now, you mentioned posing trunk there. A buddy of mine, guy I was talking about earlier on, Gary, we were in his gym one day, and there was about 4 months to the show, and there was a guy coming in. He was doing the show as well, and he actually asked Gary could he borrow his posing trunks. If it was the day before and it was an emergency, that's not even right. But 4 months ago, I mean, you're asking that guy, can you borrow his underwear?
Yeah.
Basically, that's nasty.
I've seen before where people would suggest, oh, wait till you're 4 weeks out, whatever it is, before you buy your trunks, so that way your waist size is going to be similar. But, you know, I prefer you to buy 2 pairs if you weren't so sure, 3 or 4 months out.
Actually, yeah.
Because if you come to the week before the show and you're waiting to order your trunks and they don't show up, you're making that trip to Lifestyle Sports. You know, it's unfortunate, but it will happen, and you don't want that to be the case. So, you know,
and I mean that simple thing could be the deciding factor whether you come first or second.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
And again, read the rules as well, guys, because a lot of organisations they require you to be wearing a solid colour posing trunks. So it's either all red or it's all blue, or it's all black, whatever the colour is. You know, you can't come in there with designs and logos splattered. You want a big Nike swoosh across the back of your arse. It's just not professional. Get posing trunks. They're designed to be worn while you're posing because they do display your physique better. And make sure you have them ahead of time, because if they don't show up, you're going to start panicking and you'll end up down your local gym asking the guy who owns it for a loan of his underwear. And that's not what you want to be doing. Then again, leading up to the show, make sure, like Craig said, you got your music, that your diet is in check, that you are starting to diet early enough so you're not leaving it too late, that you have got an unbiased eye giving you some help and some tips and pointers. So if not your best buddy in the gym, you want somebody who's honest and upfront with you, and if he says, well man, look, you're looking a little bit fat, you're looking out of shape, you're getting lean, whatever the case is, you need to be able to trust that person, because you know your loved one or whoever it is going to say, oh yeah, you look great, you look this, you look that. And then you're going to have the other people, Craig, and I'm sure you experienced this, who are going to say, oh, you look so skinny and drawn in your face, you look like a skeleton, or you look like an Oompa Loompa when you're putting on your tan and all this. Don't listen to them. It's part and parcel of what it is. If your face is drawn in, take it as a compliment. If they say you look like Skeletor, be happy. You know.
It's been said to me so many times. I work alongside a community centre, and I go in there at least once, twice a day to use the canteen and make my food or whatever. But the people in there are fantastic people. Don't get me wrong, but they just have no idea what's going on. I come in and I get no, I'm doing this show, so I'm eating certain foods, certain time, and all this kind of stuff. And then you say, Colin, oh, you're getting very skinny in the face. Oh, that's a desperate look, it doesn't suit you at all. Now, the person could be about 16, 17 stone, but that's besides the point. Yeah, they're telling me I look desperate, unhealthy, and oh, how do you feel? I'm like, oh, I feel perfect, I'm good. Oh, you don't look healthy at all, if you don't mind me saying. And I should turn around and go, well, you don't look healthy ever. So, how can you say that? But I don't, because I'm not going to go down that road. But when I said don't listen to it, and every time I did hear it going, geez, your face is very drawn in, all I can think about is, oh, drawn in face, I must be doing something right, good, you know. And guys, it will come back. And what I will say as well about him, if you're going to be carb loading or water depletion or anything like that, I'd advise you to do it as well in a trial basis, maybe 2 or 3 weeks before a show, and make sure you get it right. So pretend the show is Saturday, so start your carb loading on the Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, and then start your zero carbs Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday with a lot of training to deplete all the glycogen, and then start back your training on the Thursday and Friday and add in a load of carbs for your thinking. But don't just do that once coming up to the show, because it mightn't suit you. So do try it. And as well with diuretics, and especially Lasix. Lasix would be an injectable diuretic. A lot of guys take it the night before the show. Now, when you inject this stuff into you, it's like someone is flushing the chain. It's every single bit of water goes out of you. Fact. But it can be very, very dangerous. And you see a few guys were actually shaking on stage. They had no water in them at all, and they couldn't flex. So it doesn't make sense to be so dry that you can't flex. That seemed to me like a waste of time. You can do this right, and without injecting anything or taking any pills, you can actually manipulate water by drinking gallons and gallons, just like you would with the carbs, and then stop them, because your body will keep urinating, thinking it's drinking all this water, trying to flush it out. So doing that as well, but again, it's a trial. Do it as a trial a few weeks out with your carbs, with your carb depletion. If you're going to do it that way, carb loading a few weeks out, don't wait. There's a few guys this year did the same thing and it backfired. So don't wait. Give it a trial. If it works, go with it. If it doesn't, scrap it. Do something else.
Yeah, I would say as well, when it comes to the actual competition itself, if it's out of town, if you can at all, get there the day before. whether you stay in a hotel that night before or whatever, at least dirty dirt sheets with your Pro Tan and not your own at home.
Yeah.
You know, little things like that, and you can wake up and you're relaxed and you can just drive 5-10 minutes to the venue. You're not trying to trek 4 miles across the country, or 4 hours across the country, and you're sweating on the way there and you're thinking, oh shit, I'm going to be late, and then you get a flat tire as you're going. And if you can get there the day before, stay the night in a hotel or a friend's house or a B&B or whatever it is, get there early, you know, show up to the show on time or a little bit earlier than whatever is suggested. There will be probably some hanging around time, back time, so make sure you've got some snacks with you, you know, whether it's to carb up with or not, you know, whether like raw honey, peanut butter, rice cakes, they're the common things that you're going to see. Some people will actually drink a shot or two of whiskey or vodka backstage. Apparently, apparently the alcohol helps with vascularity. Now, again, that's going to be a personal thing, but, you know, come competition day, you want to make sure, in terms of the last minute stuff, you want to make sure that you have actually submitted your application. If you haven't, make sure that you can do so on the day. If you're not already a member of the organisation, join up beforehand if you can at all. Most of them will allow you to sign up on the day of the competition as well. Bring some additional cash, because not all places receive credit cards or debit cards on the day, because you could be in a local community hall and they won't have a Visa machine, so make sure you've got some cash on you. Have some backup music as well, because that first CD, if that gets scratched, you're posing to someone else's Bon Jovi or something that's going to pop up, you're guaranteed, and it's going to be some song that you hate. Bring a second pair of posing trunks if you have them, because if you're doing a prejudging and a night show and if you get tanner all over them, you might need to change them. Again, that's more of a luxury than a necessity, but if you have it, it would look better on stage. Craig mentioned earlier cramps, and you know, lads being so dehydrated that they can't pose. You know, a little bit of potassium here and there will help your muscles relax a little bit and will allow you to pose a little bit more. Don't forget your tan. You do not want to rely on the guy next to you to ask him to, hey pal, can I have some of your Dream Tan? I forgot mine. And then he has Dream Tan 2 versus Dream Tan 1, and you look like you're a completely missed match from upper body to lower body. There are patches that you've touched up, show up. You don't want to do that. Make sure you bring extra tan. Buy extra tan when you're buying it. You're better off to have more than not enough. Posing oil, bring it with you. Some guys will use a simple cooking spray oil to help with them. Again, that's a personal choice. Some will use baby oil, some will have a tanning lotion that has oil already in there. And you know, bring a towel, because once you're done, you're going to wipe off some of that tan that you've applied over the last couple of days to make sure it doesn't go all over your clothes, and the promoters aren't getting in trouble from the venue from the venue owners or organisers, whoever they are. You know, you want to go in, you want to relax, you want to show up on time, you want to know what's going on, ask the promoter for a schedule, you know, estimated time of being on stage, make sure you're in the right class. Who's in your category, it doesn't matter, it's too late. You're not going to run down to the local gym and put on an extra 10 pounds of muscle in 2 hours of worrying about it. Just go in, stand on stage, be happy with how you look, be happy with the work you've done over the past year. You know, 1 year ago you said, I'm going to do this show next year, you're there, you're on stage. Hopefully you did everything the best way that you possibly could, and it's all going to pay off. And no matter how the results go, learn something from the experience and be happy that you showed up, you did the work that you did. There's not many people out there who will say that they competed on a bodybuilding stage. There's many who would say they would like to if they didn't have to do all the hard work to get there. So, you know, be proud of your achievement.
Yeah, just basically going on what Colin is saying there, guys. Especially if you're a first timer, like you could have made all the mistakes in the world, and that's what a first timer scaffold is for. It's for making these mistakes, where you've got to learn from it. And what I would say at the very last thing I'll mention on it is go out there and just enjoy it. Like when I was at the side of the stage, we were going up in sixes, and there was 5 other guys, and I think 2 of them were quite nervous. I was like a bull in a china shop trying to get up that stage. When my music ended, I still had a couple extra poses. I just did not want to come down.
Yeah.
Because I thought I worked my ass off for this. This is my moment. I went up there and I did the best I could, and I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
It's a feeling that until you stand on the stage, you can't describe to somebody. It really is. It's just elation. It's kind of everything has come to this point, and now you're here, and it's like a reward to yourself. All the hard work, everything you've done is paid off right for this moment. So take it, enjoy it, just enjoy it, guys. And if it comes last, so be it. Go up there, smile, and come off the stage. I'm telling you, once you enjoy it, you will look back and you want to do a second show if you enjoy it. And if you do come last, you might take a 2-year break, a 3-year break. Don't worry, you might take a 10-year break. Who knows? But just go up and enjoy it, and remember that time when you were up on stage, how much you loved it, and that'll get you back up again. That'll focus your training harder. Oh, I'm not coming last again. I'm definitely getting to the top 5 next time. I'm definitely winning next time. That's your goal. That's your drive for the next year, 2, 3, whatever it may be.
Yeah, I would say now, Craig, I'm literally just as we're on air here now, I got an email from Alan Ryan, who we were speaking about last week on the show in terms of photography, and he sent me a picture from the 2006 Spring Classic. And Alan, if you're listening, literally I just got your email and I've looked at it right now, and I'm so disappointed that I didn't beat out the person who took 4th place. I'm looking at the picture and the determination on my face, and I mean I am not the most ripped guy on stage. My legs clearly needed a hell of a lot more work, but man, I'm smiling here looking at this picture, thinking, you know, the amount of hard work
Definitely, man, you've got to send that to me.
And the mistakes that I made going to the show. And you know, I have to say one big thing, when I was doing the show or leading up to the show, my diet or nutrition was very, very, very limited, and I was convinced that if something said fat free, it was fine for me to eat it leading up to this competition. So I was really doing things arse ways, and I had to do so much cardio because of that. And I remember doing cardio 2 sessions a day, and I'm trying to cut down. I got lean enough, but no way was I as lean as I could have been. But I'm looking at a front double bicep right now, and I have to say my arms looked pretty good back then. So Craig, I'll send that on to you now in a moment, and we'll have a quick look over it. But definitely, Alan,
you were blessed with good genetics in the arm department always.
Yeah, they're
5 years ago you had fantastic hands, like.
So I'm pretty happy with it. Alan, thanks very much for that. And there's the next stage of the game, Craig, is when you're done your competition, go back, contact the likes of Alan Ryan. You'll find him on Facebook. You'll find him through our Facebook page, Alan Ryan Photography. Get the pictures of the show. Tell him who you were. Tell him your competitor number, and he'll give you a whole host, probably dozens of pictures of you on stage. And like right now, I mean, it's been 6 years since I've seen anything in terms of these pictures, because I remember seeing pictures back then, but it's been 6 years since I looked back, and I'm smiling, I'm happy, and in 2 ways. One, that I didn't look terrible, and 2, that I've improved since then. So Alan, thanks very much, pal. I do appreciate you sending on that picture to me. But
you did, in fairness, Colin, you did deserve to be in that top 5 though, let's be fair.
Yeah, well,
Look, I will say it, and I don't care who agree or disagree with me. It's just, I don't know, at that time I was very, very early into bodybuilding, but I knew at some level what will win and what won't. When, oh my God, there was one guy, he had no business on the stage at all. I think he decided to do the show 2 weeks before the show, and he actually admitted to us that he was out drinking 2 nights ago. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, and when you see the guy, and this is no disrespect to the guy if he's listening, that's disrespect really to the rest of your field. But the fact that it was in Waterford, and Waterford Weight Training Club were judging, I think it might have swayed the decision a bit. What do you think?
I don't know, man. Look, people make their own mistakes going into shows here and there. I know who you're talking about, alright, but I'm not bothered by it. I've just sent you that email there right now, actually, so you'll see the picture yourself. But people will do what they're going to do. It shouldn't have affected the judging, whether it did or not. Where he was from or where he trained, I don't know, or who his friends were. But look, I'm looking back at that picture, and I'm pretty happy with me and with then. I was 21 at the time. Completely natural, still am. Haven't done anything that's not protein or creatine based or anything like that. So you know,
did you have done the juniors, Colin, that day?
No, I was.
At 21.
I was 6 weeks over the age or something, or 6 months or something.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, but anyways, look, it is what it is. But again, I just want to say thanks to Alan Ryan for sending me that picture. If you have any more, Alan, pass them on, pal. I'll be very happy to see them. But look, we will move on. If at any stage you do think about competing, I would say the first thing is to get somebody in your corner who has competed in the past, or has at least helped people compete in the past, and to have some sort of track record. So whether it's, your training should be pretty much on point. Training doesn't really make a difference to how you're going to look on stage on the day. Of course, you don't train hard, fine, but all the different training protocols are out there. Find the one that you feel grows and makes you the best and most muscular. The nutrition and the diet is really the fine-tuning part. If you can get some help with that, that's what I would recommend. You might have to pay for that help, of course, but I would definitely say go and do it. But compete. Even if you don't think like you're going to place first, second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever it is, go out there, compete, get on stage, have the experience, look the best that you've ever looked, and you never know, you might get the bug and you might be back on stage. And after seeing that picture, Craig, I think I'm going to make a return to a stage sometime in the next couple of years, because
oh my God. You know what that is, no, Colin. It's like your child.
Yeah, it's
compared to what you are now, like.
We'll see. But my arms look pretty good in that shot. I'm pretty.
I was just going to say, look at the shoulder bicep tie-in. It's so small, like.
Yeah.
Your bicep is massive compared to it, like.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll see. I can
that
see.
That guy actually in the middle won the show on the day, didn't he?
He did, yeah. You can see a split in my right bicep, which is nice.
Yeah.
But anyways, look, we'll move on, and we'll just say again, if you're going to compete, try and get somebody on your side who isn't going to be biased towards you or against you, but they're just going to be genuinely honest with you and how the show is going down, and how your competition prep is coming. And if you need a kick in the arse, they're there to give you that. And a good training partner too will also help you through the tough days when it comes to the training and the diet as well. Because if you know there's somebody else who's putting their time into helping you, and they're going to be disappointed if you don't do your best, you're more likely to keep trying hard. But we will move on, guys, and up next then we're going to have our Q&A. This segment is brought to you by Body Benefit Health and Fitness. For more information, visit Body Benefit Health and Fitness on Facebook. Body Benefit Health and Fitness, making fitness fun. Our two questions this week, we've got one coming from Kentucky here in the States and one from Bulgaria. So Jake in Kentucky, very simple question I suppose, and didn't give us much of a detail behind it, but we'll read it out and we'll give you some answers as to what we think. Craig, the question is from Jake: how many pieces of fruit a day should I be eating? Now, Jake, I would have to say it depends on what you're doing or what you're training for or what your sport is. But if it's, let's say if we're going to go back to our previous topic about competing for bodybuilding or you're dieting for a show, I personally think that the fruit should be non-existent because of the fructose and the simple sugars that, look, your body doesn't need them. They're not going to benefit you in any way as far as I'm concerned from a piece of fruit. For the sake of your 2 a day or 3 a day or whatever it is, forget about it for 12 to 16 weeks. You'll be fine. You're not going to die. You're not going to become deficient in anything just because you've stopped having fruit for a couple of times, for a couple of weeks leading into a show. Now, if it's general health, Craig, if it's general health, I understand the nutrient, antioxidants, that type of stuff. But if we're gearing towards bodybuilding, the benefits of fruit, I don't see them. The benefits of fruit for dieting, for a competition or dieting in general, again, I'm sorry, I just think fruit are, as much as they're natural and all that wonderful stuff, no, I don't like the fructose that comes from fruit. And I will say this to all of my clients, and I've recently started working with a lady who's a physician, and the first thing I'm getting her to do, and she didn't argue with me, is cut her fruit in half. Now, of course, I'd prefer if she didn't eat any whatsoever, but for right now, I'm going to make small changes throughout each week. She'll have a little bit of homework, and this week it's half the amount of fruit you normally take in. Next week we'll reassess and go from there. But Craig, what do you think about fruit?
Yeah, I definitely have. Would have no fruit in the diet anyway. Definitely coming up for a show. Yeah, just because of the same thing you said, Colin, because of the fructose, it's just, there's no need for it in there. It's just enough sugar that you want to avoid. As far as like general fruit, again, I'm not the biggest fan of it at all, but I would have it once or twice if you wanted a day, maybe at the very most twice, but I wouldn't go more than that. But for coming up to a show, definitely not. But yeah, definitely avoid it. And I was getting my prepped up by Jonathan Kennedy, the junior guru, as he's known in America. Like, again, he was a big advocate of having no fruit coming up to the diet for the same reasons Colin as we just gave. So yeah, Jake, I would definitely eat fruit out, mate. Like Colin said, you're not going to miss it for a couple of weeks in it.
Yeah, I'm on board with that as well. Some people might disagree, but look, that's why we're here, right? To give you some ideas and some opinions that you might not normally take upon yourself to do so. But definitely, fruit. Neither myself nor Craig think it's a great idea, especially if you're gearing towards dieting for a show or dieting in general. Our second question of the week then comes from Bulgaria. We do have a big international following, which, to be fair, did surprise me initially, but now I'm not surprised to see these countries showing up that are outside of the Irish or the USA, and you have Australia, New Zealand, Bulgaria, Russia, Romania. The list goes on and on and on. But from Bulgaria, Alexander in Bulgaria, he asks, should I be doing cardio in the off season? Now again, if this is geared towards bodybuilding, we'll make that assumption. I think that it's not necessary, of course, because you're trying to gain muscle and not burn extra calories. However, I think for general health and cardiovascular reasons, doing cardio in the off season isn't a bad idea. Some people would actually recommend doing it so that your body is used to it. I have an argument against that, but Craig, I'll let you go first. Do you think cardio should be in the off season?
I mean, this is like how long is a piece of string of a question, really. But personally, I don't do cardio in the off season. I do a boot camp class once a week, and I also do an aerobics class once a week. So, and I do get involved in both of them. So technically, I guess I do cardio twice a week for 2 hours. It's not much, but I think if I wasn't doing them classes, I still think I probably wouldn't do it. But that's just me. But saying that, on the flip side of that, because like when my off season and I gain weight, but kind of like I mentioned a few minutes ago, when I'm gaining weight, I want it to be lean. I don't want to put on 2 or 3 kgs if 1 pound of the 6 is lean. So what's the point of it for bodybuilder? It makes no sense. It really doesn't. Why would you put on 5 pounds of fat just to have to run it off again? And I mean, 99% of bodybuilders, if they could avoid doing cardio at all, even during prep season, they would. So, like that, no. But on the flip side of that, when I was doing my cardio for my 17, 18 weeks out, I did feel a lot healthier. I suppose I was eating probably better too, I suppose. But at the same time, endurance-wise, I did feel my endurance a bit better in my weights. So, I mean, I suppose I should really incorporate proper cardio sessions into my workouts. I don't know, is it maybe laziness thing on my part? It probably is, that I don't. Like I said, my cardio at the moment is a boot camp class which I host and participate in, and an aerobics class which I host and participate in. So is 2 hours enough? I don't know. So what I would say, Alexander, it's kind of, if you've always done cardio and it's something you're used to, then carry on doing it. It shouldn't be new to your body, so you should be okay. If it's a chore in the off season and you're finding ways to avoid it, then don't do it. It's up to you really, but there is benefits to doing it, and I suppose there's not really benefits to not doing it. There's like, I'll leave it with this, yeah, there's benefits to doing it, but if you don't do it, it's not the end of the world. So I'd probably leave it at that. How would you see it, Colin?
Well, we'll put it this way, if you're currently doing cardio, Alexander, and you're trying to gain muscle and you're finding it hard to gain muscle, then I delete your cardio, and then those extra calories can be put towards muscle building. Now, again, we mentioned if you're doing cardio for health reasons, that's fine, all well and good. But if it's for bodybuilding reasons, if you're doing cardio to keep your body weight down in the off season, why not just eat less calories? That would be my thing. I personally think, and we'll go back to someone who we mention quite often, but for good reason, Masoom Bota in a moment. I personally think that you can get to a show, if you're, let's say you're dieting for a show or you're dieting in general, I personally think you can get to the levels you need to get to with diet alone. Now, it might be harder because you've got to eat less and you've got to be more stringent and careful about what you do, but I definitely think it is possible to get into that shape. Of course, there's more sacrifice in terms of how hungry you might feel, and you know, not everybody can respond that way, but a lot of people can, and one of them again will be Masoom Butt. He said to us just just today, that between he, Chris and Kem, or Ian Chambers as he called, he is planning not to do cardio, right? And if you look at our Facebook page, facebook.com/Your Physique Radio, you're going to see a picture of Masoom which was taken this week. He's 5 weeks out from his next show, which is going to be the Shrew Classic. It's the week after the Olympia, so it's the 5th and 6th of October, I think. He's 5 weeks out. He's not doing cardio, and this guy is in shape already. Right? He's not on stage shape, but he's in a million times better shape than any average Joe walking around your gym, and he's not doing cardio to do this. He's just watching his foods. The other thing I would say is the reason why I wouldn't necessarily think cardio is very, very important, starting out on a diet at least, is because as far as I'm concerned, I've mentioned this before in a previous episode, my concept of losing weight, or my approach to losing weight, is there's basically 3 stages to it. One is reduction of total calories, typically through carbohydrates more often than not, but let's just say total calories for now. Then you're gonna, as that starts to slow us down, you go into stage 2, which is refeed or re-energize or kickstart meal, whatever you want to call it, or a cheat meal, where you're going to increase the carbohydrates more than you normally would, so that your body responds and starts to burn more energy again on a daily basis to burn fat. The final stage of that then is when those first 2 stop working. If they stop working, is you have something else to fall back on, and that would be then your aerobic exercise, so your cardiovascular work. Again, if you were to do all 3 of them at the same time, cut calories, have cheat meals, add cardio all at the same time, you do not know which one is working. So delete all the variables, start off, wait till one stops working, introduce the next, wait till that stops working, introduce the next, and that would be my approach. So again, if your question is cardio required or necessary, or should you be doing it in the off season, it really depends on what you're trying to achieve. If you're trying to keep your body fat down, no, it is not necessary. Reduce your calories instead. If you're trying to maintain cardiovascular fitness, yes, continue to do cardio, because it is typically more beneficial to do steady state for your heart than it is to do to weights, and you're going to hold your breath here and there, and your blood pressure going up through the roof. At least with steady state cardio, your blood pressure will gradually rise and gradually fall. It doesn't go up and down in sharp spikes here and there. Do I personally do cardio? No. As in walking on a treadmill or a step mill or bike, cross train or elliptical, no, absolutely. The last time I've done cardio for the sake of cardio was probably more of a self challenge. I wanted to see if I could do 10k without stopping, and I did it, and I did it about, I don't know, 50 minutes or whatever it was. It wasn't a terribly fast pace, but it was the first time I'd ran in probably 2 years, and it was not a comfortable experience. My heart rate was way up there, but I proved to myself that I could still do 10k without stopping. But no, I typically do not do cardiovascular work. Like Craig mentioned earlier, he teaches some boot camp classes, aerobic classes, where he will participate in some of the class and elevate his heart rate. I do the same. I also teach boot camp classes a couple of times a week for general clients and for people who participate in tennis at a collegiate tennis level here in the States. And I'll do a little bit of what they're doing, but I'm not doing it for the cardio effect. I'm doing it for demonstration. So I'm not choosing to do it. I'm doing it because I have to. So again, no, I do not do cardio typically off season or any season, because at the moment I'm always off season, and Craig only did it leading into his competition. So again, no, I do not think it's required. Craig, anything else you'd like to say further on that?
No, I think you touched on all the bases there, Colin. Like to put it in a nutshell, if I didn't even think of what you brought up actually, Colin. If he's trying to gain weight and he's doing cardio, that's exactly what I would do. The first thing I would drop would be the cardio. Leave that out.
Yeah.
Leave that out, because otherwise you're going to have to increase your calorie intake, and it might be easier to take out. Well, actually, it would be easier to take out the cardio than to add in the extra calories. I would think anyway. The extra good calories, not shite calories, good calories, like, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, just basically, if you want to gain weight, I mean, cardio probably isn't going to help. It's not going to help, you know what I mean? But as far as health-wise, it's going to be very, very beneficial. So, I suppose, Alexander, whatever kind of your goal is, if you wanted to get back to us and give us an exact goal of what you're actually doing and why you were wondering about this question, then do just leave us a message in the same place you did last time. But otherwise, that's basically it, mate. I can't really answer any more to you until we've actually more information. So I hope we gave you enough to go on.
What I would say there, Craig, in terms of doing cardio for weight gain, there is the concept or the idea that, if you do a 15-minute high-intensity session so that your body starts to crave food because it makes you hungry, then maybe you'll potentially eat more than you burned off. But, there's a few people who will practice that. They'll do cardio for the sake of making themselves hungrier so they can eat more food. I don't know. I've never been in a position where I've needed to do cardio to make myself hungry. So it really depends on the person. But again, just to put it out there, some people will do that and will advocate that idea, but I'm not one of them. But anyways, guys, thanks a lot, Jake and Alexander. Do appreciate the questions. Anyone has any questions, send them in to us. Our contact info will be up a little bit later on. Whether it's bodybuilding related, fitness related, nutrition related, you're male or female, you're competitive or you're not, or you're playing regular sports, field sports, let us know and we can try and give you an answer. If nothing else, it will be a second opinion versus what you already currently have. But at that then, we will move on to our top 5s of the week. This week our top 5s are pros who never were. Craig, I've got my 5, not in any particular order. I know we call the segment top 5s, but we very rarely have an actual order because it's very hard to give a yay or nay for someone to put them in first or second. As far as I'm concerned, I do have 5. Many of the younger guys out there will not have a clue who any of these people are, because let's be honest, the guys who are currently on the circuit still have their chance. My top 5 guys are past the probably late 90s the last time any of these guys competed, so they're definitely not going to be on stage anytime in the next couple of years or ever again probably. But Craig, why don't you give us your 5 in order or not in order, whatever way you prefer.
Alright, so guys, my top 5, then I actually have them in order for a change. In at number 5 I have Rory Leidenmeyer, the Holland-born son of a bodybuilder who trained with Chuck Eats and Bill Pearl. Leidenmeyer was already in Most magazine cover model when at 22 he became Mr. California in 1980, defeating future pros such as John Brown and Barry Leonard in the tall class and the short class winner Bronston Austin Jr. So with his symmetrical thickness, Leidenmeyer literally seemed to be the next big thing. When the following year he finished a close second to Mid America light heavyweight and overall victor Tim Belknap, it seemed a more delay at the inevitable. In 1983, weighing 224, he was either the best or second best physique in the nationals. Mike Christian, Rich Gaspari, Mike Mendenhall and Ron Love were among the famous people who placed behind him that day. He's in good company there. But another surprising phenom, 216-pound Bob Paris, was judged number 1 and took the pro card away from him. Again, it seemed merely a deformment, but in retrospect, it knocked in the 25-year-old's Littlehammer zenith. He looked untouchable in photos leading up to the contest, but thereafter, increasingly muddled conditioning pushed his dream progressively further away, and he was judged the 5th best heavyweight in the 1984 Nationals, 6th, 87, and again, or 86, and 9th in 1987. He made a comeback at 36 years old in 1994. Unfortunately, he finished 14th, so I think dream was kind of over at that stage. So he'd be at number 5. In at number 4, I have Paul Grant. Born in 1953, the Welshman probably best remembered for his appearance in Pumping Iron, which captured him placing 3rd in the class of the 1975 IFBB Mr. Universe. He was also the 3rd the year before and 2 years later, but then again Grant won the 71 Mr. Europe, before then, sorry, 72 Mr. Britain in the tall class of the Mr. Universe in both 72, defeating Big Louis Ferrigno, and in 73 losing the overall both times to the one and only Chris Dickerson. He later suffered kidney failure and received a transplant in 1985. In the years before his death, in 2003, Grant ran a gym and health food store, and he served as the president of the WFBB, which is the Welsh Federation of Bodybuilding. So, rest in peace. At number 3, I had Edgar Fletcher, lining up with the heavyweights before he was in the super heavies, and often a foot taller than he was, the 5'6". Fletcher never appeared to squat. He wore his 10 pounds like the stylish suit, melding a dramatic V-taper, superb arms, and an ab vacuum, one of the history's best front dump bicep poses. After leaping into bodybuilding's collective consciousness with a second place heavy finish at the 1990s Nationals, he then 25-year-old Pennsylvania seemed destined for the pro stages. It wasn't to be. In 8 contests over the next 5 frustrating years, often just missing his peak, he placed 3rd, in 5 additional pro qualifiers, fourth twice, but that initial runner-up spot was his high watermark. He last competed in 2000 from the 90s era of American pros such as Flex Wheeler, Kevin LeBron, Chris Cormier, Fletcher and Matlock were the best who ever joined the party. So that's good company to be beaten by, to be fair. Like.
Yeah.
In at number 2, guys, I'm going to have Dave Palumbo. Everyone probably knows him from his RX Muscle radio station and website. So he competed in his first bodybuilding competition in 1990, an NPC competition in New York City, where he placed 6th, weighing at 168 pounds. He continued to compete with his highest placing being that of a 2nd place in the super heavyweight class of the NPC USA. So he was 1 place away from getting his pro card. He was beaten by Chris Cook. Can you remember him, Colin?
Sure can, yeah. Big, tall, long guy, yeah.
Chris Cook took the winner of the super heavyweight class in Blows and Treat, which was Dave's best showing. But for me, like Dave, for me, it was the waist that held him back. He had mounds of hard muscle and the conditioning to match, but the overall oversized waistline, in my opinion, was his downfall. I don't know what you think, Colin. Your 2 cents in a minute, I suppose. And I might as well finish my top placing. For me, it's a well-deserved Matt Mendenhall. And if you haven't seen pictures, Google image him now. The guy was incredible. There were 2 21-year-old 5'11" phenoms in the 1982 Nationals. One, Lee Haney, who won the contest and went on to collect 8 Sandows. The other was Matt Mendenhall. Second behind Haney and ahead of 5 future pros in the heavy class, was destined to remain amateur despite several close calls and an X-frame coupled with traps and calves. Destiny, universally labelled as can't miss. Therefore, the 5th in the heavy class of the aforementioned 1983 Nationals, and the frustrating 2nd again in the contest in 1984, ahead of Leelmeyer. He won the heavy class in 1985, but lost the overall, and then at the World Games he was runner-up once again. In 1986, you could see the frustration taken toll after Mendenhall learned he was the bridesmaid for the 3rd time at the Nationals and 4th time in a pro qualifier. This time, the smaller but leaner Gary Stripe beat him out. It seems someone always showed up with shape, how the shape of his life to edge past Mendenhall for the biggest trophy, while he was a bit blurry. He later learned he had the lingering yeast infection which caused water retention when carb before contests. I suppose hindsight and all that, after an 11th at the 87th or the 1987 Nationals and a 10th in the 1988 Nationals, he vanished, but returned to enter his 7th Nationals in 1991, weighing 255 pounds, and competed in the deepest amateur class ever. He placed 5th among heavyweights, but the guys who beat him out on that day, listen to this. This is why he gets my number 1. The people who beat him out that day were Kevin LeBron, Flex Wheeler, Aldo Mayo, and Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah, what chance did he got there?
Some of the guys who beat that day were Chris Cormier, Bob Ciccarello, and Edgar Fletcher. So it was his final contest, and he retired up from the stage at age 31. The same year and age as 8-time Mr. Olympia Lee Haney. Today, Matt Mendenhall is a physical therapist in Denver, Colorado. Remember, for someone who has the potential to be the world's greatest bodybuilder, field only turned pro. So fortunate, it really is. It just goes to show how close it can be. I mean, 1 point can be the difference of making a lot of money in the bodybuilding world, or being an also-ran. I mean, and these are the guys who are the also-rans. It's sad to see these guys as non-pros because probably they all deserve to be, but, you know, that's just the way it is. Someone has to lose, someone has to win. Colin, what do you reckon of that top 5 English when you're ready?
I just want to comment there about Matt Mendenhall. You know, you said he took 2nd place to Lee Haney in 1982. To the fact that Lee Haney wins that, and then 2 years later he starts his Mr. Olympia reign, in which he wins 8 consecutive Mr. Olympias from 84 up to 91. That's, like, I mean, he was obviously so close to being so good, but just on that one given day, Lee Haney shows up and he takes the win away from, takes the pro card, and Matt Mendenhall maybe that was his best day, maybe it was his best condition, his best symmetry, best balance, proportion, all came together that very one day. But I mean, not many people were able to beat Lee Haney, and once he turned pro, especially once he got onto the Olympia stage in 1984, he didn't look back once. He never lost the competition from there on in. So, you know, he's a
bad timing, I guess. You know.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, you will see guys who will pick and choose their competitions because of who they know is going to be in it, and the same will happen back home in Ireland. You've got the two big federations, the RIBBF and NABA. You know, some guys will say, well, the opening class in NABA is going to be a little bit easier than the open class in RIBBF. I'll do this show versus that show, and you know, a little bit of tactics there. But you know, when it comes to the IFBB, the NPC is the only avenue to make it in. Well, here in the States, it's the only avenue to make it into the IFBB pro ranks, and 1982 just was not Matt Mendenhall's day. It's unlucky second place, but look, he obviously was a very successful guy in terms of how he did look in the competitions that he did achieve or did compete in, because here we are 30 years later, sorry, we're still talking about the guy. So he must have done something right. Now unfortunately, like you said, he probably lost out on a lot of cash and a lot of fame, but you know, he definitely was a top amateur guy, and for that reason, Craig, he is on my list of top fives. Also, another guy you mentioned, Dave Palumbo, he is on my list as well. For many reasons you said, he was one of the first guys to be on stage at his height and body weight, you know, hovering around a 285, 290 pound of muscle on stage, ripped. The unfortunate thing about Palumbo is that the one picture that seems to circulate the most around on the internet is the picture where he doesn't look exactly his best. He's doing a front double bicep, his gut looks a little bit off, let's say, and everything else looks off too. But if you look at some of his better pictures and some of the better showings that he had, like you said, 2003, where he got beat out by Chris Cook, you know, he packed a lot of muscle. He took second place many times at national levels. I think it was 5 or 6. So he was very unlucky, but look, he went on to stay within the industry. He was a sponsored athlete before he ever became pro by Metrex and made plenty of money there. And you know, since then he's worked with Muscular Development magazine. I think he was their online editor-in-chief. And then once that all ended up 3 or 4 years ago, he moved and started his own company, RX Muscle, and has Species Nutrition, you know, a nutrition company, and he does seminars and he preps a lot of the top guys for the top shows, both amateur and professional. So Dave has definitely stayed in the scene. He's one of the biggest names still in the bodybuilding scene, even though he never turned pro himself. And he's very well respected. There's no question. He's very, very well respected, and I definitely do myself respect him a lot and what he has done, what he has achieved in his career. And you know, it's hats off to him. rxmuscle.com is one of the sites I will visit on a daily basis, and I will listen to their radio shows as well from time to time. And you know, for a guy who didn't turn pro, he's definitely been more successful than many guys who did turn pro. So Dave, hats off. Matt Mendenhall then as well. My other guys then, we got Victor Richards, who, I mean, if you don't know who he is, just search him and consider that he never turned pro. Huge man, massive legs, massive upper body. He was always the biggest guy on stage, heaviest guy on stage. His conditioning was never quite there. But again, if you don't know who he is, search him. I'm not going to give you a full list or run. I don't have it. I didn't do my homework as well as Craig did. And Dennis Newman, another guy who was up and coming, fantastic. He looked incredible. He's from the 80s era, or the era of the early mid 80s. He tore a pec. He came down, or he contracted leukemia. His career practically just dissolved. He disappeared. He's done a couple of interviews since then, but I believe he's working somewhere in California now as a trainer or a contest prep or something like that. But Dennis Newman, definitely someone to look out. And then on the last person on my list, not in any order of course, is Jeff King. Now many people won't know who Jeff King is, but when you see his picture, you will probably recognise his face. He's from the early to mid 80s. He had quads bigger than anyone else back in the day. I mean, it was just sheer size and class. The biggest and most outstanding feature on his body had to be his neck, which sounds kind of ridiculous. It's not marked in a bodybuilding on a scorecard, but my God, if this guy's doing his crab most muscular, his neck is easily thicker than his head and bigger than his arms, and he looks like a python coming out to snatch you up and take you into the water. He's huge.
Yeah, it looks frightening.
Crazy. And to think most of the pictures, if you do search Jeff King bodybuilder on Google, you're going to find him. He's about 230, 235 pounds. He was only 24, 25 years of age in those pictures. So he was an enormous guy. Just never got through on a pro circuit. He typically did not compete for the NPC, which is, you know, the step before the IFBB, so turning pro. And, you know, whether there's controversy or politics around the fact that he, you know, his NPC appearances, which were few, he didn't place very well. Again, was he off on those days? We don't have pictures, we don't know. But Jeff King, search him, see him, massive legs, massive upper body. You know, again, remember his age and the time that it was the early 80s, 24, 25 years of age, and his neck was just the most ridiculous looking thing I've ever seen. It's just before he came on air, I told Craig about this guy, and he was like, that's almost disgusting how big his neck was. And that, you know, it's disgusting in a crazy way, not disgusting as I want to vomit. You know, it's just
exactly, yeah,
huge. But anyway, there we are. Victor Richards, Matt Mendenhall, Dennis Newman, Dave Palumbo, Jeff King. My top 5, Craig gave his top 5. They were pros who never were. So none of these guys were professional bodybuilders on the IFBB circuit, which is what we see in the magazines today. So don't come back and say, oh, he was a pro and this. We're talking about IFBB pros and nothing else.
They all had the quality to be a pro, which is...
Absolutely.
It's just happened to be bad timing. You know, wrong place at the wrong time it is.
Yeah, like there, if you put it down to, so let's say, gymnastics or the how fast you run in a race, of course you got to be the best on the day. But typically, if you had done that performance in any other day, any other time, any other competition, you would have won. It was just that one day somebody came along and was just that tiny little bit better. It's disappointing, but look, that's the way life goes. Sometimes you're a step behind what could have been, or sometimes you're a step ahead of it. But anyways, we will move on, guys, and we're basically wrapping up the show now this week. Our topics next week, competition coverage will be of the Finland show. We'll have a preview and a rundown of the competitors. We will do gym reviews. I'm going to be doing Les Mills in New Zealand, which is kind of it was the very first Les Mills gym, and since then, if you're in England or if you're in the States, you're going to see that there's a lot of exercise classes that are geared to and marketed by Les Mills, and of course they're making more money from their marketing of group exercise classes than they are probably from their gym memberships. But again, their flagship gym is in Auckland, New Zealand. I was a member there for a year. Very, very good facility, packed with equipment. We'll talk more about that later on. Craig, you're doing a gym review. What's your gym for next week?
My gym is Milton Hill Gym in Milton, Massachusetts. I used to be a member there. This is going back more than 10 years ago. So actually, no, it was about 10 years ago. I went in there, had no clue about gyms or about anything. So this has a special place in my heart, actually. So I'll be reviewing the Milton Hill Sport and Spa, as it's called. No, it wasn't a sport and spa when I was there. So stay tuned next week and we'll talk more about that anyway.
Our Q&A will be back again next week, guys, so make sure to get your questions in, be it for you, yourself, a loved one, whoever it is. If you have a question, health, bodybuilding, fitness related, let us know and we will be sure to answer it on air for you. And our contact information to do so, or to ask us any questions, show related or fitness related, are coming up right now.
Right, guys, if you want to contact Colin directly, you can go to www.yourphysiquepersonaltraining.com. If you want to contact myself, you can go on to facebook.com/CastleMaine Gym. If you want to contact the show, it's facebook.com/yourphysiqueradio. Or if you want to email us, you can go on to yourphysiqueradio@gmail.com, or you can follow us on Twitter @physiqueradio.
You'd also like to urge people to go and visit irishmuscle.ie and the forum.irishmuscle.ie. Check out our segment, Your Physique Radio. There is a competition there, guys. It is still running. Pick the top 6 Mr. Olympia Open class in order. Nobody has yet to have there's one current pick that is still qualified to potentially win, as all of the others had Jake Cutler or Victor Martinez prediction. They will not count, as neither of those guys are going to be competing. So I will change the rules slightly. If you have already entered and Jake Cutler or Victor Martinez were in your picks, you can go back online to Your Physique Radio section on forum.irishmuscle.ie. Give us a new pick, a new prediction. It will stand, and I will also make sure that anybody else out there on the forum is aware of that as well. But again, visit irishmuscle.ie, They're on the road at the moment. They're videotaping around Ireland, and a lot of the guys who are competing in the RIBBF and the NABA shows in 5 and 9 weeks, I think respectively, they're being showcased. And absolutely best of luck to anybody who is going to be competing in those shows upcoming. As we get closer, we'll have more details and possibly an interview or two with one or two of the guys who will be competing at the Nationals in the next couple of months. But with that, guys, then we come to the end of episode number 14 of Your Physique Radio. Until next time, remember, it's your physique
and it's your choice.
Thank you for listening to Your Physique Radio in association with irishmuscle.ie. Replays of all previous episodes can be found on iTunes, YouTube and Facebook. And for advertising opportunities, you can contact us at yourphysiqueradio@gmail.com. Your Physique Radio. It's your physique,